Hello, everyone, and welcome to our first day of William Mary's fourth annual Professionals Week. I am Michael Steelman, Director of Alumni Career Management and Professional Networks for William Mary, and it is my pleasure to work with you and thousands of others from the William Mary community throughout the year, providing career resources and professional programming that support your respective career journeys while strengthening our William Mary professional networks within industries and workplaces. I am truly grateful for the continued engagement of our William Mary community to support one another's professional success during these difficult environments. And I want to acknowledge and thank all of the William Mary Professional Network's leaders who provided the guidance and support to make this week possible. In addition, the incredible colleagues throughout William Mary who helped design and market this week with me. This year's theme is rethinking your relationship with work. We will address the topics for today's changing working world, including redesigning your career path today, competing for the best talent, and building community in the workplace. We will also have opportunities today and on Wednesday and Friday to network and learn more about one another's careers and professional goals for the year. Thank you for taking the time out of your schedules to join us today, and I hope you will be able to join us for additional programming this week and throughout the year. Before I turn things over to Ashley, I just have a few technology items to cover. Attendee mics will be muted for the best sound quality throughout Ashley's presentation, and you can best view her presentation through the speaker view. Submit questions during the session using the chat function. I will monitor these questions, try to address them as best as I can, and Ashley will also, I'll collect them if she needs to follow up with you afterwards. She'll also be providing her email in addition. Today's session is being recorded, and we will notify all the registrants once the recording is posted to wmalumni.com. Now, without further ado, it is my pleasure to introduce our presenter this afternoon. Due to an unexpected health illness, Grant Schroll was unable to present as planned. However, his amazing colleague and co-founder of Mission Collaborative, Ashley Artrip, has graciously agreed to present today's session. Ashley is the co-founder and president of Mission Collaborative. She's worked with thousands of working professionals to design successful careers that are engaging and fulfilling. Before Mission Collaborative, she worked at Gallup and other organizations where she focused on researching employee engagement and what contributes to a successful career. While at Gallup, she became a certified Gallup Strengths Finder coach, enabling her to help others identify their strengths and harness them to design careers they love. We are truly delighted to have Ashley join us today to lead us on this career design workshop and for her partnership throughout the year with the William Mary Alumni Career Design Fellowship. Thank you so much, Ashley.
Yeah, thank you so much, Michael. And thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in on this Monday afternoon. I'm based in DC, and it's absolutely gorgeous here today. So I hope everyone is having a great week. The goal of this session really is to orient you to something that we call the career design process. So kind of how this will go is I'll have some content here at the beginning to present and talk a little bit about the career design process, the components of what makes a successful career change. And then at the end, with the remaining time, we'll have some breakout sessions to discuss some of this in more detail and also give you a chance to meet the other folks here in the call today. In addition to that, I'll talk a little bit about the fellowship that we have coming up. So we've partnered with William & Mary for now years, and we offer a specific career design fellowship catered towards William & Mary alumni, which I'll talk a little bit about here at the end of the session. So with that, I'll go ahead and share my screen here, and we can go ahead and get started. And I was having some connectivity issues with Wi-Fi a little bit earlier, so while I'm presenting the content piece, I'm going to have my video off, and then I'll turn it back on for when we start back up with the breakout sessions there. So let's start by talking a little bit about why you might be here in the first place. So as Michael mentioned, the big theme right now that a lot of folks are thinking about is kind of rethinking our relationship with work. At some point in time, and perhaps you feel this way even right now, you've probably felt disengaged, checked out, or burnt out at work in some capacity. I know I have felt that way, especially with the extra challenges in the past few years. It's really easy to feel overwhelmed with work and to feel not particularly engaged in kind of what's going on. And it turns out that this is a really, really common feeling, and it's not just specific to the challenges that the coronavirus pandemic has posed on our daily work life. Each year, Gallup, the polling organization, does a poll called the State of the American Workforce, where they get a sense of how folks feel about their work and how engaged they are. And the results are always typically pretty stunning. So on average, around 2/3 of Americans feel disengaged in their work. And this is year over year. Before co-founding Mission Collaborative, as Michael mentioned, I actually worked at Gallup and spent a lot of my time thinking about disengagement and its effects on not just productivity, but its impact on how you feel in your broader life. And the truth is that we spend a tremendous amount of time at our work. And if we're doing things that don't necessarily give us the energy or bring out the best version of ourselves, then in my opinion, it's quite a shame. And that's really what I, kind of got so motivated to start this work, and why I really enjoy doing what we do at Mission Collaborative, which is to help individuals design more fulfilling careers. But making a change is obviously really hard. It's something that you're not necessarily taught in a classroom or even, in your adulthood. If it were easy, then most of us wouldn't feel stuck and disengaged the majority of the time. Most of us struggle with some of the following questions here. What do I want? How do I avoid starting over? Perhaps you have decades of experience and even an expensive credential, and you're not really sure how to use that in a new path, and you don't want it to go to waste. Another question is, when will I actually have time for this, right? There are so many things going on in life. We have other expectations outside of work. When can I fit in time to make this a priority? And just generally, I am so overwhelmed. How do I even start? What do I even do? The fact that again is making a change is very, very hard, but it's something that we're going to have to do throughout our career multiple times. You won't necessarily have to make an entire industry career change multiple times, although that could happen. But changing your career is something that you will have to do throughout your career. And it's something, again, that no one has really taught us. There might have been times in our lives where we've been really engaged and love what we were doing. If you had that experience right out of college, and then a couple years in, you kind of realize that circumstances have changed, and all of a sudden we no longer feel the way that we did about our career, and we don't really know how to navigate what comes next for us. And so kind of thinking about what most people do, a lot of us kind of have this first reaction. We're kind of backed into this corner when we feel stuck, is that we just start applying for jobs, right? We kind of just find things online that sound interesting, or we're just kind of shopping on job boards and things like that, just to kind of see what's out there. Or we send our resume out into the void and kind of treat it like a numbers game, right? Where you set a weekly goal of applying to a set number of jobs each week, and you kind of just play the waiting game, and hopefully at least one organization gets back to you. That is what I've seen happen a lot, and that's what I've seen be a very exhausting strategy. I've seen a lot of people do this with very little success, and sometimes even the worst case scenario happens, right? Where you actually get offered the job that you applied to, and you only, once you get in, you only realize that it is not a good fit because you didn't really know what you were looking for in the first place, and it was no better than where you just came from. The second thing that a lot of us do, which is honestly more of a joke, because it's pretty inaccessible to most people, and it's a little bit kind of mysterious in the way that you're supposed to go about it, is we work with a career coach. It's very expensive. You're not really sure what sort of results you might be guaranteed if you work with one. And so that's not really how most people approach career development and career design once they're in their career. And the most common thing, actually, what we end up doing is, and you've may be there yourself right now, or I've been there, is we do nothing. Right? We kind of just continue churning wherever we're at, not feeling fully engaged in what we're doing. And we sit here kind of thinking that there's surely something better out there, but we're not really clear on what to do differently. And so we kind of end up being stuck until one day, we wake up and we realize, what, enough is enough, and it's time to do something. So before I go in any further around kind of the career design process, I want to just kind of pause here for a second, explain a little bit about Mission Collaborative. I'll be very quick here because I want to spend time talking about the content today and making sure that we have some chance for breakouts at the end. But just some context on Mission Collaborative. So we started back in 2017 offering full day career change boot camps in person. William and Mary was actually our very first school program that we ran. And so Michael and I, we all go way back, which is fantastic. And we just absolutely loved working with William and Mary since the very beginning. And since then, we've now served thousands of career changers from various backgrounds, various industries, starting in early 20s and as late in their careers as mid 70s. Again, just very grateful for our partnership with William and Mary. And at the end of this webinar, I'll share a little bit more information about our upcoming career design program. It's online. It starts on March 12th, which is going to be a more in-depth and hands-on program that walks you through the components of the career design process, what I'll get into here in just a second. So let's kind of talk about the overall process here, and then we'll kind of dive into some of these details. So a high-level overview, first and foremost, wherever you are right now in your career, this process can work for you because it uses the same fundamental approach no matter where you're at. So this process is based on the principles of design thinking. And if you're interested in checking out a resource to learn more about it, or perhaps you've already heard about it, I highly recommend reading Designing Your Life by Bill Burnett, who's out of the Stanford Design School. So this is the kind of the framework that we use for the actual career design process. We also couple that with best practices in career coaching and career counseling. And all this really serves as sort of the pillar of our program. On top of that, we constantly iterate the curriculum and make improvements based on what we're hearing from past participants, obviously a lot of William and Mary alumni, which makes it fantastic. And that's kind of where we are today. There are 4 key steps here in this process. So first is reflection, next is definition, testing, and then launch. And I will dive into each one of these here in just a second. So the first phase of the career design process is reflection. It's all about answering the questions, who am I? What do I care about? What am I good at? And what do I actually want to create in this world? Reflection is really about understanding what makes you the unique person that you are. And the reason why it's so critically important to start with deep self-reflection when designing a career that you love is to actually remind yourself of what really, really matters. Oftentimes, it pains me to see this, but I see so many people dart from one career to the next, not really finding that longer term satisfaction that I know that they deserve, because they often haven't taken the time to take a step back and identify what's really going to bring them more fulfillment. And it's kind of really what's going on under the surface. The second reason that we start with reflection is that we want to reduce the risk of making a misstep and just kind of jumping into a career that's not actually a better fit for us, which I kind of talked about a little bit earlier. And so the only way that we know we can avoid making that misstep is by having a much clearer sense of who we are and what we're actually looking for in the first place. So it sort of reinforces this need to know, again, who am I, what do I care about, and what do I want? And then the third reason why we start with reflection is because when you have a clear sense of who you are and what you're looking for, it really can act as a compass for you. I like to use kind of the comparison of Google Maps, right? Like it would be phenomenal if you could just type in a destination for your career, and then you'd have the exact steps laid out in front of you and how to get there. But that doesn't actually exist for our careers. And in fact, I don't actually think it would make sense for it to exist because our destination often changes based on the circumstances that we have going on in our lives. And so rather than thinking about the sort of linear career path and this sort of one destination, I encourage you to start to think about your careers more as, just having this internal compass that guides you in the right direction of things that align with who you are and what makes you unique. And so again, the better that you understand yourself, you understand your motivations, your interests, your values, and your strengths, the easier it is for you to navigate in that right direction. And so there are 4 key areas around reflection that is really important. I won't dive into these in a ton of detail, again, just for the sake of time, but just to give you a quick sense here, the first is core values. So all of us have values that really serve as the guiding principles that help us make difficult decisions, and it helps us navigate who we want to be in the world. These are really important when you think about these in the context of your career, because if you find yourself working in a job that is misaligned with your core values, it's really hard to find fulfillment. And as an example, I work with a lot of folks who are, in lucrative industries, and they often feel really unfulfilled and really empty by their work because they don't actually believe in what they're doing. And what's actually happening there is that there's a misalignment and there's a conflict of core values. And so that's really important to think about as we kind of design this next step of our career. The second area of reflection is your strengths. So strengths are things that all of us have. These are sort of our natural tendencies and how we show up in the world by default. In other words, again, these are sort of how we're naturally wired to think, feel, and behave. And these sort of show up without, giving it much thought. And leaning into your strengths when you're thinking about your career will always yield better results than just trying to avoid your weaknesses or trying to fix your weaknesses. In fact, there's a lot of research in positive psychology, a lot of work that Gallup does that suggests that when we do work that aligns with our strengths, we're far more effective and we're far more motivated than we can just do things that avoid our weaknesses. So understanding what your strengths are and being able to name them is really, really helpful as you start thinking about the different career moves that you can make that will better leverage those strengths so you'll have more energy and effectiveness in your work. The third area of reflection is skills. So specifically thinking about those transferable skills. And these are unlike strengths because these are things that you're not hardwired to do naturally, right? So these are the things that you actually cultivate through rigor, practice, intention. These are the things that you might get a certificate for, something that you might study. Most often it's something that you'll learn on the job. All of us have skills, and many of those skills you have are transferable to a lot of other careers. A lot of career changers and career designers that I work with assume that their skills are far too niche and far too specific to be applied in different contexts. And that's generally just not true. Instead of thinking of these skills as non-transferable, a lot of times what they're actually experiencing is kind of more of a branding problem and talking about your skills only in the context of your specific industry. So understanding what these skills actually are and thinking about them in a broader kind of 30,000-foot overview is really helpful so you can identify which ones are transferable. And once you identify the skills that are transferable, it will give you sort of this toolbox to better move into a new career path. And then lastly, it's really important to acknowledge, your interest, right? So we all have topics, causes, communities, things that we deeply care about. And if we're doing work that aligns with those interests, we are a lot more engaged, right? We're a lot more fulfilled. And oftentimes I hear people making compromises, assuming that, well, I can't do work that aligns with my love for animal rights because it doesn't pay enough, for example. And that's oftentimes just not true. And usually you can find work that's in an area of interest to you, or if it's not in that specific area, it could be related to an interest. So taking inventory, taking a pause and acknowledging what those interests are, those causes, those things that you deeply care about, can give you some material to better understand what options might be out there for you that could be more fulfilling in your next step. So the next step of the career design process is the definition phase. So once we've kind of gone through and reflected on who we are, again, what we care about, we're then ready to move into the second phase of the career design process, which is what we call the definition phase. So this is all about figuring out the criteria that you want the next chapter of your career to satisfy. It's understanding about the different paths that could actually get you there. And it's really important before kind of thinking through what options are out there, it's really important to acknowledge that everyone's definition of success is different. And in fact, just kind of recognizing that and pausing and saying, hey, I may have been doing work my entire career that was someone else's definition of success is very, very liberating, because in this next step, you can then find work that aligns with what your definition of success is. And I can't tell you how many times I've worked with career designers who come to me and say, I've been striving for someone else's definition of what success looks like instead of thinking about what actually matters to me as an individual. And so that's really, really important to acknowledge in the definition phase. The other thing that we like to talk about here is that there might be many different career paths that could lead to fulfillment for you. The idea that there's just sort of this singular career path out there that's just waiting for you to discover, if you just try hard enough or you just look hard enough, it's generally not the best advice, and it's just generally not speaking true, because there are many paths that could lead to fulfillment for you. And it's sort of like when you hear the advice, just find your passion and the career will present itself. The reality is that our passions will change over time. And there are many different ways that we can find something that's similarly fulfilling. And thinking about kind of this in the broader context of the definition phase, you'll obviously have to make some trade-offs as you define what the different, paths that you can take are. But it's really important then to kind of understand that, hey, this is not necessarily something I'm planning for the rest of my life, right? It's just kind of this next phase. So the definition phase is all about recognizing the criteria that you want this next chapter to satisfy, sort of time boxing it to the next 2 to 3 years of life, and then starting to identify the different paths that could actually align with those criteria that could leverage your strengths, your interests, your values, and so forth. So there are two kind of main steps to get clarity on what really matters here in this next phase. And the second step is how you kind of collect different career path ideas. So the first thing that we do is sort of define what we call the career criteria. So roughly speaking, these are the 8 most important factors that you really need to understand about yourself in order to get clarity on the options that you might be able to pursue. So kind of looking at this list here, none of this is probably particularly groundbreaking to you as you look at this, but I'm really always amazed at how few people actually sit down and write out the answers to these 8 questions. I won't go into these line by line for the sake of time here, but you can go ahead and read them here on screen. But it's really important to really kind of sit down and think through, what size company would I be best at? What size organization do I feel most comfortable in? Or what type of risk am I willing to take in this next career move? Once you've gone through and kind of thought through each of what your preferences are for each of these criteria, the hard part kicks in when you have to rank order them from 1 to 8, 1 being the most important thing that you need to prioritize for this next career move, and 8 being the thing that you need to prioritize the least. This exercise alone will bring you tremendous clarity, and it's part of what we do in the career design program, again, that I'll talk about here at the end. But again, it's really important to sit down and think about, okay, what are the actual criteria that I need to satisfy in this next chapter? And then how would I actually go out and prioritize what those are? The second step of the definition phase here is to collect different career path ideas. There are so many ways to collect different career path ideas. And once you've laid out the criteria for what you're looking for, the next step is really just kind of getting into this headspace of brainstorming. It's collecting as many ideas as you possibly can that align with that criteria that you just defined. So there are a few ways to do this. First thing that you can do, it almost might seem too simple, but it's just to get a group of friends together or family and just have a brainstorming session, right? Ask them questions around different career path ideas that they could see you in. You can share your career criteria with them. You can get their feedback on the different possibilities that you can look into. And really what is important here is that it's getting you out of your own head. I think a lot of times when we're thinking about our career, it's sort of locked into this box of our own mental space. And it's really important to bring others into our career design process. So being able to brainstorm with these folks, the supporters that you care about most in your life, is really helpful to kind of get you out of your own head and just kind of externalize some of that thinking that you have. Another thing that you can do is use some career assessments online. These aren't the career assessments that you might be thinking about that you might have done in high school. I remember when I was in high school, I did a career assessment that told my friend he should be a fruit sorter, which I still to this day have no idea how he got that response. But I just think it's funny that, somehow this career assessment somehow spit out that he was a fruit sorter. But anyway, long story short, there are many improved tools, I can assure you, now in our modern times. One I would recommend is careerexplorer.com. These assessments are directionally helpful. That's kind of the disclaimer that I would say here, is that these career assessments are helpful to kind of understand the different titles that you might never have heard of. And they're a really great starting point, but I do think you should just take these as sort of directionally helpful as you kind of start to discover and start to collect these different career path options. Beyond that, there's just a lot that also you can find on the internet by just knowing how to look. There are so many resources out there, and you can simply just kind of start a search by typing things in, such as, alternative careers for, fill in the blank title that you have right now. You'd be really surprised at how many folks have actually written about, the transition that you're potentially making, from what you do now to a different career path. There are a lot of, established blogs out there. There's a lot of content on it. I really like reading medium.com. There's a lot of good content there from blogs. And again, there's just plenty of great resources that exist, but the trick is learning, how to find them. And that's really kind of what we go into again in the program, which I'll tell you about a little bit here soon. So moving on to the next step of the career design process is the testing phase. So the testing phase is all about evaluating your options. So I can tell you right out of the gate, this is the step that is most commonly skipped. But in my opinion, it is the most important step in this entire process. So the entire philosophy here in this step can be summed up with the phrase, try it before you buy it, if you've ever heard of that, right? So it's kind of like this concept of, you wouldn't buy a car without first taking it for a test drive. And so that's sort of what we believe as the best possible way to figure out if this is something that you want to do next in your career. So once you've kind of gone through the process of identifying different paths that could be a good fit for you, you start to narrow down your options to see one that you are most excited to explore further, right? You're not fully committing to it, but you're just saying, hey, I would really like to learn a little bit more about this career path and kind of get a taste for what this is all about. So the testing phase is all about exploring an idea before you commit to it. And it's, again, going back to this idea of reducing the risk of taking the wrong step. And beyond making sure that this is a good next move for you in terms of risk calculation, it also can ignite your enthusiasm for this path that you end up deciding to take. So how do you do this testing component? So 4 different strategies, which I can go into a lot of detail and I won't, but just to kind of give you a quick overview here. So they can range really from being quite simple, but not always super effective, to very intensive, but also very enlightening and very insightful. So let's kind of start with this easy stuff here, which is talking to practitioners. One of the easiest things that you can do to kind of test out a potential career path is to actually talk to somebody who already works in that role or in that industry. You could call up somebody you know, or maybe you haven't spoken to in a while, and you can get a sense for what they like and what they don't like about that particular career path. You can also understand kind of this, the broader challenges within that industry and so forth. And the more that you really connect with somebody who actually works in the industry and lives in it in a day-to-day capacity, the easier it will be for you to actually comprehend what it might be like if you were in their shoes. So that's really important. The second strategy here is attending events and conferences. So this obviously has looked different now that we're in a global pandemic, but there are actually plenty of virtual events. Obviously, you're attending one right now that you can attend that you don't even need to leave your living room, which is fantastic. You can not only meet practitioners who work in these different industries and these career paths, but you can also engage in some of the broader content and the broader conversations that are associated with that industry and that career path. And so going to these sort of events and these meetups are a really, really great way to get a taste of what this path is all about, because you're actually going and immersing yourself in some of the topics and the conversations that are taking place. So you have a clear idea as to what sort of challenges that you might face if you're going into that particular career path. The third testing strategy is the most novel that we talk about at Mission Collaborative, which is called a test project. So most people have never tried this before, but it's actually quite accessible if you're willing to put in the effort. And I'm going to give a disclaimer here that it might sound like a lot of work, but I promise you it will be worth it. So I'll kind of walk you through an example here. So imagine if somebody handed you the career or role that you're interested in, and you were tasked with completing a project that you'd likely be asked to work on. So let me get really tangible here. Let's say I want to become a graphic designer, for example. My goal is to identify then a project I could do on my own time without anyone's permission, perhaps something I can do on the weekend. And I'm going to give myself a prompt to design a better logo for a company that I'm familiar with, right? Because this is something that a graphic designer would be asked to do. There is absolutely nothing stopping me from going ahead and taking what I know about that particular career path and trying to redesign this logo. Let's say I try to redesign the Nike logo. So I know this project won't take me a long time. And at the end of this, I'll have some form of a work product that I can actually then go and share to practitioners. So people who are actually in the graphic design space, and actually get their feedback and tell me, hey, this is fantastic. You did a great job. Or, you could get feedback that says, hey, you might want to adjust a couple of things here. Or you might want to, get feedback that, hey, this is, you might need to practice this a little bit more. Either way, this is a hugely insightful activity because for 2 reasons. First, you validated that this is something that you would likely enjoy and you would actually, be excited about doing. And 2, you can understand whether or not you'd be a compelling candidate for this particular career path. Maybe by the end of this, you realize this is something that you don't want to do. Maybe this is something that you need to keep practicing on the side before you're ready to fully commit to that path. But again, I would say even more important than getting that feedback around your candidacy for this particular career path is getting that insight into how you feel about approaching the project itself. Again, the idea for the test project is really just something that you can do for a couple of hours on a weekend. And if it's something that you find that you're dreading, then this is really helpful in determining whether or not this is something that you want to pursue. Because if you're really dreading doing something on a weekend for a couple of hours without any sort of supervision, then why would you want to do it as a career path? And so really that's kind of the entire process as it relates to the test project there. You might be thinking, but I guess before I move on with the test project, one last thing here is that, you might be thinking to yourself, yeah, that works for graphic design, but that may not work for the industry that I'm in particular. I can assure you that you can do a test project for just about any career that you can fathom. It will obviously look different depending on the path that you're interested in, but broadly speaking, the framework itself is very applicable across industries. And it's, again, sort of the thing that we, teach and talk about in the career design program. The fourth testing strategy here is to arrange a consulting gig, which is more hands-on and it's more involved. It's basically doing this career path as a side gig. So this is where you'd actually find a company or a client who is willing to pay you real money to complete a project for them. And this would be really helpful in learning whether or not you'd enjoy this. And it would also give you obviously a lot of clarity as to how qualified you are, because someone is paying you for this. They are definitely judging the product of your work, and the stakes are higher. But this is a more insightful way of really trying something before you buy it and really getting a clear sense as to, whether or not this is something that you would want to pursue. Okay, so those are the 4 testing strategies that you can implement. But the thing I really want to leave you with here is that it's critical to actually go out and run experiments. It's to approach your career path as if you were a designer. It's all about collecting this data, getting a sense for what's actually going to be a good fit for you before you commit to anything. You should intentionally, go one by one, eliminate those options that aren't a good fit for you, because that will help you get closer towards the one that is a good fit for you. And again, I know this probably seems like a lot of work, but I promise you it will ultimately save you so many headaches and potentially many years of working in a role that's not fulfilling or perhaps even toxic for you. And so it's important to try before you buy when it comes to your career path. The final phase here, the fourth and final phase that we have in the career design process is what we call the launch phase. So the launch phase is when you actually go out and pursue that next option. So this is something that you do after you have done your research, you have tested out your options, and you are confident that this is the best fit for you and you're ready to land a job. This is the process that most people actually end up jumping to. Again, the whole kind of point of the career design process is to be much more intentional and to take things kind of piece by piece instead of jumping right into this job search process. Again, oftentimes I see people kind of using the strategy that fails the majority of the time, which is again kind of playing the numbers game, right? So for every 10 jobs that we apply to, you may hear back from 1 of them or 2 of them, or perhaps 3 of them if you're more qualified, or if you've included the right keywords on your resume. But this is such an exhausting strategy, and oftentimes it's very ineffective. And, to make it even worse, if you are somebody who is trying to change industries, or if you're trying to make a bigger change to your career path, you have a different set of constraints because you're more of a non-traditional candidate in the sense that you don't perhaps, have the credentials and experience that other candidates might have who are also applying for that particular position. So what you need to do here is, overcome these hurdles by focusing on those relationships. So at Mission Collaborative, we are not in the business of teaching people how to sort of game the ATS systems or, figuring out how to, bulk up your resume with keywords. Obviously, making sure that all of that stuff is polished and looks good is very important. But we firmly believe that a lot of the work when it comes to actually landing that job is in relationships, because they can truly open doors for you that oftentimes couldn't be found on a job board or even known to the public as well. And so when you've invested in relationships with employers and individuals within organizations, this process will be a lot smoother and honestly a lot more enjoyable for you, because you have taken the time to get to know the individuals that you will potentially work with at some point in time. You'll understand the culture of the organization to make sure that aligns with exactly what you're looking for. And again, kind of the entire sort of ethos of the launch phase here is learning about, effective relationship building and putting them before resumes. So we always like to use the phrase relationships over resumes. And again, it's about building relationships with, individuals within organizations who could hire somebody like you, even if they don't have a current job opening. So there are really 4 steps to the launch process, which I'll kind of dive into here. And then I want to spend the rest of the time going into breakout sessions, because I think it's very important to kind of take some time and reflect on the content I provided here. But just to kind of wrap up the launch phase here, 4 kind of key steps to think about is, first and foremost, is make a short list. So again, kind of going back to this concept of looking for organizations that may or may not have a job opening for you right now. Instead, we want you to focus on finding great fit organizations that you're really excited about, whether or not they currently have something open for you. And this is a better strategy because you're not just focusing on what's currently available, and you don't have the sort of scarcity mindset of sort of taking the thing that is in front of you or is the only thing that is available for you right now. And instead, you're doing a much better job at kind of focusing on where you will be fulfilled more in the long term. And this is why it's really important to kind of think about the career design process proactively rather than reactively when you're in a place of needing to find a job immediately, right? We understand that for those who need something, in the next, couple of weeks, or perhaps, tomorrow, this strategy is not going to be effective because there are a different set of constraints that apply to that particular situation. And so that's why we encourage individuals to sort of treat their development like their career development, like going to a gym, right? Where you're constantly kind of reflecting on things. You're making sure that you're investing in yourself and your self-reflection, and you're able to kind of start building these relationships before you even need a particular position or whatever it may be. So once you've kind of identified what these organizations are, the next thing you actually do is, like I said, start building relationships with employers who work there. You can reach out to somebody who could be a potential peer, of you, or somebody who might even be your manager or boss at some point in time, and say, hey, I'm thinking about making this career change at some point in time. Your organization has been on my short list for a long time. I'm a huge fan of what you all do. I'd love to be valuable to you all. And I'd love to see, perhaps even how I can help you right now, even though I know you're not hiring. And so what this does is that it communicates that you're open to building a relationship with them, and you're somebody who is wanting to offer value even before you're brought on the team. And this kind of gets into point 3 here, which is to offer value rather than just asking for a handout. The concept of creating value is really simple. Even if you don't have that much to offer to somebody, like potentially a stranger, somebody that you're doing some cold outreach to, it's really just about positioning yourself as somebody who solves problems, who creates impact for an employer. Because at the end of the day, employers really, really just want to know how you are going to create value for their specific organization. They want people who can enthusiastically solve problems, who can make meaningful impact for the organization. And so if you can convince somebody that you create value before you even apply to that organization, you have just skyrocketed to the top of the candidate pile once applications open up. And so again, that's why it's really, really important to start building relationships sooner rather than later. The 4th step of the launch phase is all about resumes and interviews. Again, while we focus on relationships as being the most important component of the launch phase, you will be asked for your resume. There's no getting around that. But by focusing on those relationships before your resume is requested, you can make sure you won't get filtered out by a recruiting software or a recruiter, and you can make sure that you get to the top of the candidate pile. So last thing is of the launch phase process, again, to optimize your resume in the way that focuses on the impact that you've created in the past. So it's really easy for employers to understand how you would create value at their organization. And also that really highlights those transferable skills that we talked about a little bit earlier. And so again, kind of the major takeaway from the launch phase is all about convincing employers that you are somebody who can create impact and you can add a lot of value to the organization even before you are even tasked with it. So that leads us to the breakout portion of the content today. So I'm going to go ahead and start my video back up here. And what I'll do is I will have Michael set up the breakout rooms for everyone, and I'll go ahead and copy and paste these questions. And so we'll kind of broadcast this out so everybody can see what those questions are. But really, I encourage you all to take some time intentionally and ask the questions with the folks that you meet in this breakout session. Also, please, encourage you to connect with them after this conversation. That's the whole point of this. So, please feel free to use the questions as sort of a conversation starter that we encourage you to have after this breakout.
Ashley, before we go quickly to breakout, I know there were a couple questions in the feed, and we won't have time to address all of them. I just wanted to just share a few remarks quickly. That questions were like, do I talk to my company about a career change? How can I best address some of the mental blocks like imposter syndrome and other things of fear of success? And I would say let's use this opportunity, this breakout, to feel comfort among your trusted alumni network, to address these kinds of conversations, getting used to this kind of conversation with one another. That's why we have the networking events throughout this week and throughout the year. That's why we partner with Ashley and Grant at Mission Collaborative to facilitate a month-long program for you all. We want you to feel comfortable having candid conversations and honest, open conversations around your career success. I'm here also throughout the year to help as well with 30-minute conversations. But I encourage you to stay on for the remainder of the hour to use this time to really discuss and get to know one another, and hear that you probably have a lot more in common than you realized, in addition to your William & Mary affinity. But I will say this, is that having mentors within your workplace is very important. Having someone that you can feel trusted is also important to address some of the questions that have come up in the feed around, should I let my company know? And also having check-ins with your supervisors and people that about your career path and path of what's next, what's happening in your career journey there is important. So Ashley, I'm sorry for chiming in, but I just wanted to share that before we go into these breakouts. Tim, are you set? I think Tim's going to put us into breakouts, and we'll be back for some closing remarks and enjoy the conversations with one another. Ashley, take it away if you want to share your screen or.
Yes. Give me 1 second here. Just wanted to provide some final thoughts here. Again, thank you so much for making the time to learn a little bit more about career design. Again, like I mentioned, we have the fellowship coming up. It starts on March 12th. This program is really for those who have full-time jobs or have other things going on. It only requires about 5 hours of time per week. And we'll walk you through the entire career design process in more depth. You also have a chance to work with fellow William & Mary alumni to kind of design this next phase of your career path. So if this was all interesting to you, or if you kind of felt like, hey, this is a lot of information and I kind of want to take it piece by piece, I obviously am biased, but I very much encourage the program. I dropped the link to the landing page in the chat. So if you wanted to take a look at that, I'm just kind of showing you on my screen here. This is where you would, if you wanted to enroll in the program and learn a little bit more, just go ahead and go over to that link. We did extend the early enrollment price to today. But since you attended the webinar, I wanted to mention that we do have a coupon code that will extend the early enrollment price up until this Friday. I'll have Michael send this out in the follow-up email, but it's just early in all caps when you go and click an enrollment. I'll go ahead and drop that in the chat as well. So you just type in early in the coupon section when if you go to checkout on the regular enrollment page. We also offer partial scholarships for those who demonstrate financial need, if that's something that would be something that is needed from your end. So just feel free to submit an application there if that's the case. So that's all I had. Thank you so much for having me. This was an absolute pleasure. I just love working with William & Mary alumni so much. And Michael, again, thank you so much for having me today. I appreciate it.
Ashley, thank you. And to let you know, Ashley got the heads up that she was doing this presentation this morning. So talk about on her feet. She knows her subject matter. I've worked with her colleagues at Gallup, and she's got great background of expertise. I mean, if you are not aware of the strengths assessment, please take that. As she mentioned, it's a great tool to help you all. And I'd be happy to work with you as well on that, understanding that, interpreting your results with you. One thing that I think came up, and I was telling Ashley this while you all were doing your breakouts, is this whole question of, what is the right time and who's the right audience to talk about your career design or career change needs. And I think it's a very apropos that tomorrow's discussion is with HR leaders on this great resignation that they're leading and figuring out, and how to manage talent and keep talent and keep it interesting and competitive in their workplace, and to give you all the support you need to be better professionals and to have the environment that you need for your lifestyle and balancing your family or whatever it might be with your work commitments in this unusually unsure environment that we're in. And I think I hope you'll join us for that. And some of the questions that you were thinking about today might be ones to ask our colleagues, our alumni leaders tomorrow. So that's at noon, same time. And I really do recommend that you join us. And it's all on the wmalumni.com site, the Professionals Week page. And with that, I just want to say thank you again to Ashley. If you all want to, I'd be happy to schedule 30-minute chats around your career needs as well. So feel free to put time on my calendar through my Calendly link. And I'll include that in a follow-up email as well. And thank you again for joining us. Thanks to Mission Collaborative for leading us off this first day of Professionals Week. And enjoy getting to know one another and continuing networking on Wednesday and Friday of this week are the networking opportunities. So hope you'll join us for both of those, and take care. Stay well.